bucket list with like Angela Davis, and I just wanted to see you. So we came for you. We didn't have a lot of money for the tickets. We spoke to Sister Ya. She was very helpful, helping us get there and everything. So my buddy and I went. We honestly could not afford to get up to Harlem from Bed-Stuy. I'm disabled. I got a bad injury, but we made it up there. So we literally came for you. It did seem a little awkward when someone spoke after you. That's absolutely accurate and true, because once again, you were the headliner. We spoke to people at our table about the people that were sitting at our table. They mentioned how they had been coming doing it the last 2 or 3 years or so, but a lot of young people were there because Dr. Umar was on the bill, was on the so
Right.
that's
And
why we went.
I finished. Did you notice that a lot of people left, and did I play any role in them leaving? Did I tell people to leave? Did I lead them out? Or did they leave immediately when I was done?
I feel a lot of people stayed. I stayed pretty much to the end of the event. I mean, I don't remember a mass of people walking out, but I remember you leaving, and I remember wanting to know where you went so that I could try to go get a picture. And I remember thinking that you did leave, and somebody that was at my table told me, "Oh, he's in the back room with the books. He's got his books back there. He's
Right.
signing
I
books."
went right into the next adjacent room to sign the
So
books.
yeah, it looked like you left, but you actually weren't even gone. It was very low key. Like I said, I thought you were gone. Somebody had to come and tell me, no, he's in the back with his books and stuff. So yeah, I mean, this is news to me. I actually exchanged contact information with people that I met there that night. We keep in touch. It was a really special moment for me. Honestly, it was very emotional. I was very moved. I be joking. I'm a comedian. I do stand up. I be saying I'm a escaped slave from South Carolina. So that really liberated me. But I do need to let you know I don't want to catfish you or nothing like that. I am a part of the alphabet community. So I want to put that out there and lead with that, lead with truth and light. But
No
I be
problem.
making jokes in my stand up. I'm trying to lead the
We're going to get back with love. Watch. I promise you we're going to get back with love. I promise you. Because see, the way I see it, my sister, and thank you for answering about that Garvey Day celebration, because as I said, the leader of the organization that was once ran by the Honorable Marcus Garvey, he accused me of sabotaging his speech. He accused me of walking out and taking most of the crowd with me, which I did not do. They left of their own volition, but he blamed me for that. And this isn't the first time I got blamed for taking the crowd with me. I remember one of the Panafest celebrations at the Cape Coast Castle Slave Dungeon in Ghana one year. They had me speak early in the program, and when I was done talking and I exited left, all the youth followed me out, and I was accused by some of the elders who were from America but were there in Ghana at the Cape Coast Slave Dungeon for the Panafest celebration. They spread a rumor to one of the traditional rulers, the chief, and he approached me and he said, "I heard that you sabotaged the event." I said, "Listen, why would you have Dr. Umar speak early in a program? It doesn't make sense. If you want the people to stay and pay attention, you should have me later in the program. I don't have to be the last person, but I shouldn't be early because most of the crowd is coming to see me." And I just think with a lot of these elders, their egos are so big and they don't want to respect the fact that there's people younger than them who carry more weight in our community, and they want to keep closing out lectures, putting me before you. I'm a better speaker than you. I'm more popular than you. The people came to hear me. It's just a shame that we have these petty ego type of situations because people are not respecting the type of status and stature that people have, and is leading to conflicts. And then they want to blame you for not having an audience when they had no business coming on stage after you in the first place. But let's get to the alphabet. I want to thank you for that. Let's get to the alphabet. True, I'm gonna hit you with 3 true or falses. And I know you can't speak for all the lesbian sisters, but I just want you to give your point of view. A lot of our lesbian sisters came to the lifestyle through abuse and abandonment at the hands of males. Father, sexual abuse, past spousal abuse with other men they dated. In your experience, how do most of our sisters come to the lifestyle?
Ooh,
Give me
you
two of
know,
the biggest. Give me 2 of the biggest reasons they come into the lesbian community from your own experience. What brings our sisters there? The ones who choose it, not the ones who say I was born like this. I mean the ones who actually know that this was a conscious choice that I made. What brings them to it? What are some of the triggers you've seen that bring the sisters into
it? Men.
Yes. Yes, that has been my experience. And so what advice would you have for men as it relates to our treatment of Black women that you think could probably slow down the exodus from the heterosexual community to the Rainbow Nation?
Well, Doctor, I'm working on some new stand-up material about this exact topic. I think it's really going to shake the block. A lot of people are going to be upset, but it is what it is. I feel that men hate women. I feel men resent women.
Uh, uh,
I feel that men I
let
feel
me find
men resent women because
out.
I think women have, the one thing that men need. And I think men resent women for that. I think there's a lot of control over that. A lot of women, we've come to a place where we have a lot of animosity between men and women. And I think
Now,
men, yeah.
I want you to clarify because you said something that was pretty powerful. I want you to go and I want to make sure I'm following you. You said there's men who hate women, which I agree. But what was your reason though? You said because it's something women have. What did you say? You said it's something women have that men need.
I think men resent women globally, not even just Black men, men in general. You got Arab men throwing acid on Arab women for not wearing their hijabs properly. I personally feel men hate women. I think
Yeah.
men hate women. I think men resent women because we have the one thing that men need. If you think about a woman, and this is kind of getting into queerness, lesbianism, masculine women, butch presenting women, masculine presenting women, right? And you spoke on this on a recent live about why women are doing this because they have to step up and be the man in the household. My mother had to be the father and the mother. So it's like, it's been a slippery slope. This is where we were leading this whole time, having fatherless homes and things like that. But I do think it's rooted in hate. I think that men hate women. I think men resent us for having the one thing that they need. Because if you think about a woman doesn't necessarily need a man. A woman can sort of function unless you need to have children or something like that. But we're in all these pandemic conversations about population control and that sort of thing. So that's a whole other cup of tea. But I just think that there is a lot of animosity from men towards women. There's a lot of rape. There's a lot of sexual assault from men to younger women. We talk about R. Kelly and these sorts of industry conversations that are going on. And I think women just live in complete fear for our lives every single day. I have a pocket knife. I'm always talking to other women about how we can just protect our vaginas in any capacity. So Wanda Sykes has a really funny bit about how dangerous it is to just have a vagina. Like, how you could just go for a jog and, she's a part of the alphabet community as well. But, I think it's just the answer is simple. It's a 3-letter word and it's men, MEN.
Okay. Now, when you say that, I need you to clarify because you have some sisters, be they heterosexual or lesbian, who will scapegoat men totally for the trauma they've had in their lives. Here's my question to you. Do you think women can go so far in their criticism or accountability towards Black men that you almost breed a hatred from Black women towards Black men who have not even been traumatized? In other words, how much is awareness? How much of it is holding Black men accountable? And where is the fine line between I'm holding my brothers accountable to I'm completely condemning the existence of the Black male species? Help me out. Where do we draw the line between accountability, responsibility for what Black men have done versus Black women who are on an all-out assault, who want to destroy the image of Black masculinity in our community? Where can we draw the line?
Okay, this is a very deep question. I mean, I kind of need you to break it down for me in parts a little bit. It feels like that's a big, big question.
Let me put
Um,
it another way. Do you hate men?
no, I love men.
Okay. Do you know women who hate men?
Maybe
Okay.
I
I want you
feel
to think about the women you think might hate men. How do you differ as a woman who doesn't hate men, but who is lesbian? How do you differ from a sister who is lesbian and hates men? What is qualitatively different in terms of personality and outlook between you and a sister who actually hates men?
Well, I mean, that's a tricky question. I'm very different
That
from a
men
lot
are
of
the
people.
problem. When you first said men are the problem,
No, I didn't say men
my
are the
initial
problem. That's not
reaction
what I
was,
said.
is
That's
she's
not
one
what I
of
said.
the black masculinity advocates. That was
Right.
my first reaction. But when you said you love men, I said, okay, she can't be a black anti-masculinity advocate because she says she loves men. So how do you differ from sisters who do hate men? In other words, I'm different because I don't do this, or I'm different because I do this. What would set you apart from them in terms of your outlook towards black men? In other words, how do we know you don't hate black men?
I lead with love. I think we have to figure out how to get back to love. And if the man is supposed to be the leader, the man has to lead with love. And I think men don't lead with love. They lead with rape. They lead with assault. Usually, they lead with
Yo, why
violence. Men
you say rape?
men are
That's
very.
kind of heavy when you say black men lead with rape, because that makes it look like,
I didn't say black men. I said men.
okay, but let's stick to the race though. Let's keep it to us. Let's stick to the race. How would you say black men are leading?
How would I say black men are leading?
Are leading in our relationships with women? How you said like men will lead with rape. How do you feel black men are leading? We're leading, we're engaging women on what level, with what energy? How are we presenting? When you come across a group of black men, what are your expectations of what we're going to do when we meet you?
Try to figure out how to fuck.
So the number one thing on a black man's mind is coochie.
Yes. But we got to get the consciousness over the coochie. This is
We
what you
got to get the
teach.
consciousness over the coochie. We must get
Right.
the consciousness over the coochie. Now, let me ask you this. How do we get the consciousness over the coochie when so many black women are leading with sex too?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Like black women are the most sexually objectified group, and they also objectify themselves the most. No other woman in America
Yes.
sexually objectifies herself
I
as much as
agree.
the black woman. So my question to you, Queen, and I'm loving this conversation, I appreciate you for being here. My question for you is, the black men, we need to get phallus control. You're absolutely correct. We need to get phallus control. We do. Our sexual irresponsibility is destroying the community, hands down. But what about the sisters' sexual objectification of themselves? What would your message be to them? And why do you think black women lead with sex so much? All of our singers, all of our dancers, all of our rappers, you know, sisters, the way women dress, black women are leading with sex. So is it a contradiction to say the brothers are looking for coochie and the sisters are dressing for their coochie to be seen? So it's like, how do you split that apple pie of responsibility up?
No pun intended on the apple pie. How did
Yeah.
you split it up? Okay. It's a deep question, Doctor. I got a reference as a comedian. I'm studying my legends, Paul Mooney, all the greats, Cat Williams. Cat Williams has a really funny bit where he talks about basically colonizers going to Africa for the first time and seeing black women, and he says, "That's their women. What's that on their backs? That's their asses. Let's go, let's go." We all under mind control, Doc. We under mind control. The black women were taken, as you know, tale as old as time. This was the downfall of the entire situation, right? We were taken, we were raped. Now you have people with my complexion. I'm not supposed to be this color, right? My sister Angela Davis not supposed to be this color. This is why we look this way from all the slave rape that was going on the plantations, because the black women, just simply from existing, apparently tipped the colonizers so much, and it led to the downfall and the spell and mind control that we're now under. So the men have to lead with love and the women will follow, but we are under so much mind control and we are under so much like evil propaganda. We just have strayed so far from God's light. But if black men are able to find a way to stand up, and like you said, I forgot how you worded it, phallus control. if
Yes.
if if we are able to get to a truth, and I wanted to talk to you about Kanye and some of the other people too, because I feel you have a lot of animosity in that direction, and I understand what he's trying to do. He's also trying to lead with love and get us to truth. He gets lost along the way. He's a
He
Gemini,
does.
I'm Gemini rising,
And he
we fall,
no bunnies alone. But go ahead.
but we got to lead with love. These bots and these AI, you just had a bot call you. This AI is really out here. We have to fight we have to fight with love. You know what I'm saying? We got to, because they're training the bots to fight, and they come in with the hate. They just want to get you to engage. We have to start leading with love. As soon as the black men step up and lead with love and not lust, the black women will follow, I feel. But I also am not versed to speak on this because I don't date men. I mean, the only relationship I've been in is with
Have
a
you ever,
man.
and what age did you stop?
Listen, Umar, you gonna end this live on me, Doc. The only man I've ever dated was a white man, but that was when I was asleep. I was in my get out era. God woke me up. I got out. I'm halfway there. I got one leg in the elemental P
What brought you
community.
into lesbianism then?
I feel it was always there. I've always been very masculine, very tomboy, but I'm not. I don't identify with that label lesbian. If we're getting into terminology and stuff, I'm queer.
Or
I'm still open
your
to men. I just,
termination?
it's just very fearful dealing with men. You can get STDs, you can get raped, you can get pregnant and unwanted pregnancy. There's a lot rolling the dice when you're dealing with, cishet men.
Okay, I'm gonna put my psychology hat on real quick.
Yes, thank you.
When I hear your reasons, I also hear trauma.
Of course, but that's
So
black people's middle name is trauma.
you've been through at least one traumatic relationship with a black man.
I've never dated a black man.
No, it may have not been romance. It could have been biological father. But
Yeah,
you have,
my mother says this. My father passed away when I was 12. My mom says that I have trauma about attached to that.
and so
Uh,
who was your father figure from 12 into adulthood? Did you have one?
Other men in my family felt close family friends of his. My father was sort of like you. He was a community organizer and activist. Up, he was from Brooklyn, and there's a big mural up of him in Connecticut where he's buried in Stamford, where I was born. But yeah, there were men around. But you're not wrong. I'm agreeing with you. There has to be that figure in the home, present physically there. Because I must have at some point, started to gravitate toward masculinity, playing more with the boys, roughhousing and stuff like that. And, that just sort of adapted within my personality. But it was also what I was observing as well, right? Having been in a single parent home, my mother fixing everything, providing, So it's you're not wrong. I mean, I love the psychological aspect of it. I love when you say psychologically black. I'm speaking in Dr. Umar. I want to get a Dr. Umar dictionary going for the young generation.
Got you. I appreciate you, Mama. One last question for you, because you said something early that sparked my thinking. I noticed that many of the lesbian sisters are hyper masculine. Some of them. You don't pose this way, but
You're referring to what we would call like studs or AGs or butch, yeah. White women call butch, yeah.
right. Here's my question. What leads a woman to the hyper masculine partner, aka stud, versus a strong heterosexual male? Why date a woman who is artificially posing as a strong black man versus having the organic, real strong black man? Why would a woman go to the female who's living her life as an artificial male versus with a real black man? Help me understand the psychology of that. She goes past the brother to the woman who's living her life for the most part as a man.
Uh-huh. Once again, I got to give my disclaimer. I don't identify as a stud, and I have never dated one, so I don't. I'm not versed enough to
I
speak. I'm
got
not qualified enough to respond. But from my perspective, I can just give you my interpretation of what I've observed in being
you.
in
Yeah,
the community.
yes.
It's simply kind of going back to what I said earlier, which is that to my impression is that you're basically just getting a safer version of a man, right? You're
Wow.
getting a much a version of a man that you can have a better chance of trusting. You have a lesser chance of that stud abusing your children. Usually when there's a man present in the home that it's not his kids, there's a high level of like an abuse, a sexual abuse situation that's like very prominent and rampant in black communities and just communities worldwide. I mean, the Trump supporters talk about sex trafficking and all this stuff, how the United States government's involved in that. Like, it's very deep. It's a very deep rabbit hole. And once again, I don't identify as a stud. I don't identify as
I've
masculine.
actually said that. I did a live before.
Okay.
Lesbianism. And I said the reason why sisters will go to a masculine woman instead of a masculine man is there's less risk for
Yeah,
abuse.
that's how I would interpret that situation. I mean, I'm thinking as a queer woman, if I'm passing a man to seek out a masculine presenting woman, it's probably because I'm going to feel a bit more security there. I'm going to feel a bit safer. There's less risk of my children being sexually assaulted or abused. There's less risk of another woman entering the space because, as we know, men struggle with the fallacy. So
But
there's a conversation of other women being involved. You know, you're going to have a little bit more chance of is it monogamy or just trust. I think is probably the word I'm looking for. It's like I think there's a little bit more trust there. But once again, I want to give a disclaimer. I hope I'm
yes,
not
yes,
offending any studs or black queer people that are
yes.
watching. I really am not. I can't speak to situations that I've never been involved in.
Last question. How old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm gonna be 35 next month.
35. You've never dated a man. Would you ever
No,
consider?
no, no. I've actually never dated a woman. The only relationship I've been in is with a man, but I identify as like queer, bisexual,
Oh,
like
so
gay,
you've never
whatever.
been in a relationship with a woman?
You know, I've got 5 planets in Capricorn, Dr. Umar. I just be focused on the bag if I gotta be honest with you. I'm not really a dater type of person. I don't really be out here dating like that.
Okay, so you could date a man.
You know, I'm not closed off to anything. I think in order to receive God's blessings, you gotta be open, you gotta be in the right place at the right time. I'm definitely not opposed to men, but I think uh as a woman, I just kind of am very fearful of men. I think, and a lot of this is rooted in childhood trauma. I will absolutely admit that. My
Okay,
mom, I
okay.
think something happened to my mother, if I'm being honest with you, when she
Yeah.
was younger, and she is just absolutely horrified of men. She tried to date a few guys. God bless her with a lot of really nice black men, but she first of all didn't know how to treat them because she didn't have her mother, so she probably wasn't able to observe how to actually care for a black man and treat them. So she unfortunately ended up being very mean to all the black men that God blessed her with that were really good men, and they actually stayed in my life. That to answer your question earlier, you asked me who was my father figure after my father passed. Lots of really great black men that God blessed us with and stayed in our lives, maintained healthy relationships. But she didn't know how to treat a black man, is what I observed. So of course she alienated and pushed them away. And then of course me as a youth observing that, that's going to program me to also fear men, have a fear of men, grow up with a fear of men, not trusting men. But I love men. All my best friends are guys, but that is the queer side. You know, that's the side that identifies with masculinity and playing video games, hanging out. I don't want to do shit that like most straight girls want to do. So it's very interesting. But basically, long story short, Doc, we are psychologically down bad. We got to get psychologically black like you speak about. So I'm just so grateful for you, and I just want to thank you for everything. I'm looking forward to making my Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy donation. I want to teach at the school. I want to teach drama to the students. I think you should have a black queer person in the spaces teaching, because you know the black community, I think we overlook a lot of the queer um you know things that black queers have done. You know, there's a lot of that people don't talk about or that get swept under the rug. And you know, whether you think of it as an illness or a disease or what, we still have to acknowledge the positivity that black queer people have done for the community.
Do you think it is in the best interest of our community to promote queer life as healthy for our children? Do you think that is in the best interest of the future of African people?
Well, I don't want to answer your question with a question, but I do kind of want to ask you, like, do you think it would be better for a child, let's say how I grew up in a single parent home, or do you think it would be better for a child to grow up in a queer home with two parents? What do you think is best?
Well, remember, if the child is growing up in a queer home with two parents, that means that the original family that gave birth to that child somehow was disadvantaged. In other words, if you and I make a child and that child ends up in a queer family, that means there was a breakdown in our family.
Right.
Because why would a child end up with anyone other than its own biological parents?
Because
I,
of all the things I've been speaking about, rape, sexual
right, right.
assault, you've got,
So
you know.
what I'm asking you is, would it be better to focus on healing the traditional Black family? Should that be the focus, as opposed to looking to the queer family as a band-aid to raise our children?
I think we can have both. Life is about balance. I think if you spend time trying to heal the family, the child may get corrupted in the time that you need to try to heal, when the child could have had a queer, loving household in that amount of time. So you
But
can try
wouldn't you
to.
admit that in the queer family, those two individuals, those two women, those two men who are together in the queer family, wouldn't they also be the product of dysfunctional